Hi, my name is Caitlin Akon. I played Enid on The Walking Dead, and you are watching Comiverse.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Friday Night Frights. Tonight's episode is near and dear to my heart because we are going to take a look at the 2021 independent slashers, probably a cult favorite by now. The movie is called 13 Fanboy. We got to have pictures. Anyway, the movie's called 13 Fanboy. This film was written or co-written by Deborah Voorhees and John Paul Reisig. It stars Deborah Voorhees and is directed by Deborah Voorhees. It released from Voorhees Films. If y'all don't remember Deborah, she played Tina in Friday 13 Part 5. And I'll get into a little bit more about the plot here in a minute. But first, we got a couple of distinguished gentlemen sitting in the back waiting to get ready to talk about this. I'm going to play a little intro, then I'm going to introduce them one by one.
Well, I'll be goddamn. Kick your head.
First, we got my co-host, Matt, from Heroes for Hire Comic Club. How you doing, brother?
All right, how you doing?
Doing great, man. I'm looking forward to doing this one. And from across the pond in good old England, we have the slasher connoisseur, Mr. Dr. Von Hoot from the Comics from the Spiral Dimension. How you doing, sir?
Yes, I'm not bad, guys. How are you?
Oh,
great, man.
I'm having a good week.
Tremendous. It's good to see you guys. It's been a while since I've been on with you.
Yeah, I'm glad. I was excited when I found out we were going to have you on our show.
I mean,
it's been a while.
I've been dying to get into this movie. Like I said, like I was telling y'all backstage, for me, this was pretty cool. It was a nice independent slasher film that I actually helped crowdfund through Indiegogo. And my name is actually in the credits of the film. If you scroll long enough, you'll see my name in the credits, which is pretty cool. But I'm going to try to play the trailer, and then I'll read the wiki, and then we'll just break down into the usual stuff. So let's get this thing rolling. And everybody in comments, in the chat, feel free to talk about the movie in the comments if you've seen it. It's available for streaming. So
yeah, I bought it on YouTube. So
can we see it?
Get it there.
Yeah. Can we see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's get this puppy going.
When I was a kid, my dad used to lock me in the basement when I was bad. The only thing I had to keep me company was a stack of VHS tapes. Friday the 13th and Halloween, the entire sagas. You all became my family. So I wrote, and I wrote, but you never wrote back.
Friday 13th actress Tiffany Helm was found stabbed to death late last night. Some reports are even saying her head was completely severed.
Is it true that you were in Friday the 13th?
There was a piece of my hair cut out in the middle of the night. That means this fanboy, he's not just watching me, he's coming into my home.
A woman is dead, and she died on my hands.
doors locked and your gun loaded.
Oh, I'm so sorry you had to die.
Boy, that my layout just went really like small. It's starting to mess with me again.
Uh-oh.
You know, I did that one day.
I know. It's okay. Well, we'll just keep talking.
Yeah. I mean, we got the gist.
Yeah, we saw that. I mean, we know what it's about.
My screen is like literally little, so hopefully y'all can see me.
Well, we're not on screen, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're off screen, mate.
We're off camera.
Hold on a second. Man, I'm trying to remember how I did this the last time.
Very well. We're almost there. There we go.
There we go. There we go.
And we're back.
All right, we're back. So I'm going to read the wiki real quick, which is relatively short. I'm not even going to bother sharing the screen because I don't know if it'll screw up everything again. It says 13 Fanboy is a 2021 American meta slasher film directed by Deborah Voorhees and written and produced by her and John Paul Reisig. The film focuses on numerous actors that starred in a popular slasher film franchise, Friday 13th, who find themselves at the target of an obsessed fan that wants to replicate their death scenes in real life. It stars Haley Greenbauer as Kelsey Voorhees, with Dee Wallace, Deborah Voorhees, C.J. Graham, Kane Hodder, Corey Feldman, Lar Park Lincoln, Judie Aronson, and Tracie Savage as fictionalized versions of themselves. And I'm going to add some more people to that list because it doesn't mention Jennifer Banko. I don't believe it did. And it doesn't mention Ron Sloan or Tiffany Helm or Andrew Leighty, who was in Never Hike Alone, and Vincent DeSanti, who directed Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow, which is two Friday the 13th fan films. So, guys, what are your first overall opinions of the film? Knowing that y'all have watched both of y'all have watched it. We'll start with Matt first.
Well, one thing that's cool about it, and I'm going to put in the positive column, is you get to see all these actors we grew up watching in these old slasher films, and you got Judie Aronson, Dee Wallace. Dee Wallace is like probably the most famous person in the movie. She was the mother in E.T., the extraterrestrial, and she was the mother in Cujo. So she was good at playing a mother, I guess, in the 80s, but she was really an accomplished actress, honestly. But yeah, so I thought it was pretty cool. They got her, and then I have a huge crush on Judie Aronson. Still do. Weird Science, Friday 13th Part 4, American Ninja, just to name 3. Next line 3 I can name actually, but anyway, it doesn't matter. And yeah, we got Lar Park Lincoln in it, and Kane Hodder, who is the Jason as far as I'm concerned. But we also got C.J. Graham in there, who wasn't a bad Jason. He was pretty good, pretty intimidating looking. See, people think it's easy to play somebody that's just a lumbering murdering machine, but hey, there's a lot of nuance to like their movements, and like it's that's Boris Karloff. You know, he was like there's certain things they add to it. You don't have to be good at portraying a role just because you're silent. But it was cool to see him speak. And I mean, the plot wasn't that bad. I mean, there's a couple things I could have shot a hole in, like the final sequence. Like, I don't think they really. We won't get in the ending yet, but I don't think they really explained why one of the characters was doing what their motivation for doing this seemed kind of like, really, you went to all this length just because of that, you know? Yeah. Or if can I talk about it now, or are we gonna? I don't want to.
Now here in a minute, I'm gonna play a picture. I'm gonna go through some pictures and just talk about the whole plot of the movie.
Okay, but yeah, I just thought it was. I mean, for what it is, it's not bad. Now, is it going to win an Oscar? No, but I mean, you know, it's very rarely a horror movie that's going to win an Oscar. I mean, well, we have Sinners, but I would argue that Sinners is not really a horror movie as much as it is just a I don't know. It's almost like a pop culture movie, but it's a good movie though. But I mean, you know what I mean. But I liked it. I thought it had some pretty interesting death scenes in it, and they didn't really. It wasn't boring or nothing in parts. Like some movies are just like just bogged down and like stuff that's unnecessary. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't unnecessary. Stuff that was unnecessary in this movie, but and shout out to Corey Feldman. I'm sure he didn't have to stretch too far to play a creep. But that's just my opinion, I guess. But I guess it's not a bad movie.
DVH, what's your thoughts on this film?
Okay, well, probably a little bit less kind than Matt, but not. I've seen a remarkably more than your average Joe's amount of really low budget movies. And this is actually a little bit accomplished in it's like the editing is good. I was particularly impressed with the sound design, which is often absolute garbage in this kind of budget level we're talking about. For those that haven't seen it, it's very much shot on video style, HD filmmaking. It's low budget. Basically, all the money went on the cast and less so on the crew, even though there were a lot of people that worked on it. I'd say that it could probably have done with a bit of chopping. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, and it could probably be a much better paced movie if they got rid of about 20 minutes of footage, and then it would fly along a little bit quicker. There's not much of the film is actually spent on the kills and the sort of suspense, that kind of thing. It's more to do with the relationships in which all the characters have, which is fine. But we are here to see a horror film, and when you don't put the effort into that specific thing, it does detract. Especially when inherently you're going to compare it to Friday the 13th, because that's what their gimmick is of this film. So you're watching it, and it does have some cool kills, like that. The one in the with the mop head, that was really well executed, but there's no tension leading up to that effect and stuff like that, which is where I have a sort of okay, well, you did that well, but it's only okay. See what I mean? It never gets into bad. I've seen a lot of these type of budget movies which are just painful to watch. It wasn't painful to watch. It just is a little bit slow, and they could have cut out 20 minutes quite happily.
Yeah, but at least it's not Ginger Dead Man.
Yeah, so that's basically my take on it.
All right, so I'm
Ginger Dead Man, right?
Oh no. So I'm gonna do my best to try to talk about the plot a little bit, because the plot does actually have a real life effect. I mean, I know a couple of horror movie actresses that had to deal with stalkers. Most prominent one being Adrienne King, who played Alice in Friday 13th. She had a stalker problem.
It made her leave acting because of it.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. And then, of course, I don't know too many people who realize that when Danielle Harris was young, she had a stalker of her own. So, I mean, that was pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but I think somebody came on the set or something and was trying to kidnap her or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seemed like I'd heard that before. But as the movie begins, we've got young Kelsey who visits her grandmother, Deborah, at the Voorhees Ranch. And the thing with the stalking is, they're on their way to go ride some horses, and she gets a text, and it's a picture of them right then. And so she knows she's being watched. So she takes the kid back to the house, gets a gun, the lights go out, their stable hand gets killed. A friend of theirs gets killed in the barn. She puts her in a little log to hide little Kelsey, but you can see a picture where he knew where she was. So, and then of course Deborah gets killed, and then it flashes back. It fast forwards 13 years later or something, and they're all at horror cons. We get to see this brief cameo. I can never think of her name, of the lady that played Ethel in part 5. Morning, Ethel. I put a sock in it. You know, you hear me, feller? But anyway, but all these people are at cons, and Kelsey, young Kelsey. This is a picture of Kelsey and her boyfriend Chris, who's played by Andrew Leighty. Here's one of the little cameos of Corey Feldman at the con, where he looks at this girl, and he's a movie producer, and I think he's trying to do a movie. I think he's doing Bloodlust 3 or something, and he just looks at the woman and goes, "I'm so sorry you had to die." And you're like, "Oh wow," but he really does play a creepy guy. But Kelsey realizes that Lar Park Lincoln's not there yet, so she gives her a call and says she's packing and on her way. And then all of a sudden she gets she notices something's off. Her photo album's missing, and she gets abducted by the stalker or the killer, and he literally puts her in like a dungeon and starves her for 3 days. And you really don't know at that point what happened to her for the rest of the movie. Last thing he tells her is, when they find your corpse, the rats will be feasting on your bones or something like that. And I was like, damn, that's messed up. So Kelsey, still living with the horror of watching her grandmother die, still has problems. And her, she's friends with Dee, who's kind of like a grandmother to her, Dee Wallace's character. And all these characters, with the only exception, Haley Greenbauer plays Kelsey Voorhees. We got Andrew Leighty playing Kyle. But everybody else, if I'm not mistaken, no. And then we got Corey Feldman playing Mike Merriman. But everybody else plays themselves in this movie. And throughout the movie, they're dealing with this fanboy. It's one thing to stalk somebody, but he's sending pictures of them like right then and calling them. And then in one instance, he actually Dee actually goes to the sink and finds a strand of her hair and realizes that he actually came into the house and cut her hair, cut a strand out of her hair and left it in the sink. There's many different parts. There's a part where Jennifer is talking to Kane, and then she starts getting messages, and Kane's kind of like staked out in the car, and then she gets a call, and he comes in, and he's fighting the killer, and he gets stabbed. And I couldn't find a picture, but the killer gets a hold of Jennifer and hangs her while Kane's on the floor. And but I guess he leaves, and Kane's able to save her. And the way Kane talks in the movie, you think he's going to die, but I'm pretty sure, I'm hopeful that both of them actually lived in the movie. And then it goes back to the Dee Wallace house. Of course, Ron's supposed to be her husband or boyfriend or whatever. And they got grandkids and everything, and the grandkids are over. And just one thing after another, just Kelsey is immediately still getting the messages and stuff. And they all pull together. Ron ends up getting killed. They think that Dee did it first, and then they're able to prove that she didn't. They think that Mike Merriman shows up with a freaking machete with human blood on it, but it's a friend of his, and they thought it'd be cool. You're like, Jesus, man, this dude's stupid.
Well, also, Dee's husband's kind of a dick. Like aren't you going to get over your friend brutally murdered in front of you?
Yeah, really. And what's funny is before all that happened, Deborah tells her that she's worried about this fanboy, and they're like, don't worry about it. And then she got murdered. We got Tracie Savage. She gets killed at the UCLA campus. It's just different, like you said, different murders. But you kind of find out at the end of the day, when they're going to Dee and Kelsey are going to a cabin to have lunch with or dinner with who they think is Tracie, but the killer took Tracie's phone and was messaging Dee. And they get ambushed, and luckily CJ is staying at the house. CJ and Judie are all staying with Dee, and CJ hears them, and he comes out and confronts the killer. And the guy's just looking at him going, "Jason, it's been an honor. I'm looking forward to killing you," or something like that. And he gets some pretty good stabs in, but CJ ain't no slouch. CJ whoops his ass.
I like what he says. CJ says, "You want a shot at the title?"
Yeah. And CJ, you find out that the killer, spoiler, is Vincent DeSante, the guy that did Womp Stomp films. You find out he's the man behind the mask. And as he's fixing to kill CJ, lo and behold, Judie Aronson shows up and shoots him. And you, at that point in time, you're like, yay, Judie come to save the day. For those of you who don't know, Judie played Samantha in Friday 4. And you're like, yay, Judie saved the day. And like Matt said, he looked at the time and realized there were still 15 minutes left. Everybody left. Haley went home. Everything's cool. She, Judie's going to stay with Dee for about a week or so. And then Dee, not Dee, but Judie had drugged Dee's drink with some kind of paralyzing toxin. And she's watching this movie where basically her and that guy killed Tracie's. And, but Haley shows up and there's a brief scuffle and Judie's character gets stabbed. So, and I forgot to mention there's actually a scene in there where Kelsey's so distraught by this stalker, they're trying to film a scene for, I think it was for that Bloodlust 3 or whatever, and she accidentally kills a girl on set because she forgot to check to make sure the knife wasn't real.
That's crazy though. That part there makes no sense.
Oh yeah,
because who's not going to know they don't have a real knife? Because a real knife would weigh a lot more. I mean,
yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought the same thing. They should have checked.
The thing that bothers me is like, I don't know.
I sort of assumed that they were going with, she sort of had become so on edge that she went too far, but then they double backed on it. It was like, I didn't check the knife. I must be really upset about this. That bit didn't really work for me, generally speaking.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. And also, I got a problem with Judie Aronson. Not the problem that Judie Aronson's a bad guy. It's a cool little twist, but then she says, it's because you've got the longest lines at conventions. Really? You're going to plan this intricate plot to murder all these people because you didn't like how long their line was?
Yeah. I will take a minute and acknowledge the chat real quick. We got my buddy Tim saying, hey, bro. Good evening, comic comrades. We got Fable.
Station.
Saying, hey, everybody. Yeah, Fable's going on in about 30 minutes to do Starship Troopers on his channel. And then Matt said he's doing double duty tonight because Matt's going to be on that show as well. Because he is the man. All right, guys. So we kind of touched up a little bit. We'll start with DVH this time. What do you think of the casting and the plot?
I mean, the casting's great. Like the whole idea of the story is a really fun one. Like to the point where people have talked about it for years. Like ever since I can remember, people have been talking about the idea of having all the final girls come together and have one last sort of battle together against Jason. Obviously, different narrative because they couldn't use Jason because they're trying to make money and whatnot. There are a number of sort of plot holes which sort of drive me insane. I might be the only one that gets really irritated about this, but when in movies they're showing a character watching a screen, which is a live stream, they shouldn't use the footage that they are using to tell the narrative of the story because it doesn't make sense. Like it's the internal logic of it doesn't make sense, and there's a continuity error at one point in it because they do that with a video that's being filmed in front of Dee Wallace is viewing the video effectively. She's being forced to watch the video at the end of the movie, and it's revealed that there are in fact 2 killers, and then on the video that she's watching, the camera moves. So if the camera's moved, that means that there is actually 3 killers and not 2. And that's never addressed because obviously that's an accident. I mean, it's just... But
right,
yeah, so it's got plot holes like that, which sort of bother me. But it's a minor gripe in a low-budget movie. It was fun enough.
But you make a good point. If there was a third person, that means there could have been a sequel.
And didn't they make this movie because at the time there was like a lawsuit around where you couldn't make another Friday movie? And my cousin, he played the Friday 13 online game. he was freaking pissed when they killed the online version.
Oh, dude, I was too.
It was a great game, though. Really, I played it with him one time. You could be Jason or a camper. Prefer to be Jason, though. But
yeah, that game suffered from the lawsuit, man. Like you said, that was a remarkable game. DVH, were you done, or do you want to add to what you were saying?
I'm good.
Okay. So, Matt, what is your overall thoughts of the cast and the plot?
Well, like I said, there's several plot holes, but DVH kind of went over all of them. But like I might want to, like I said, with Judie Aronson, like I mean, it's cool they made her the killer, but like, she's got to have another reason. Like she got screwed over by one of these characters or something, but I don't know. Anyway, other than that, I guess it was all right. Like, although I think the killer's mask, if you look at him from a distance, it looks like a predator mask.
Oh yeah.
But
I still want one. And I neglected to mention, I mean, they dropped little hints. There's like a scene in there when Chris is with Dee and Haley, or excuse me, Kelsey. I keep wanting to call her by her real name. But anyway, the part where
that's what I wanted to know. They didn't really tell you that.
Do what now?
Did they really explain how she met this crazy person?
No, she's just Chris was innocent. He's just the boyfriend. But and Vincent, she's in one of Vincent's movies. So I mean, but anyway, there's a part in there where he's like a big fan of Dee's, and he wants her to sign this mask, and it's the damn killer's mask, and you're like, what the hell, dude? It makes there's little things where they'll put something in there to purposely misdirect you.
Yeah, I mean that's classic misdirection to draw you to thinking that the boyfriend is the killer when it's, if it was the boyfriend, then that would have been the laziest that they could have written. I did think of one other thing that strikes me, and it's less to do with this specific film, but applies to all slasher movies. I always think it's a much harder job to have all the characters worry about there being a killer throughout an entire film rather than discovering it late in the film. So, like, I like oblivious people wandering around being killed, and then them finding out that there's murders, rather than from the sort of start of it, everybody's already hyper, like, oh no, there's a killer. And then you've got to sort of manufacture reasons why they do dumb stuff all the time, even though they're afraid of this person. It doesn't lend itself to good storytelling when you do it that way, which is, it's far more like a giallo, like Italian slasher movie, than a US one, traditionally speaking, to do it that way. And it works for giallos because giallos are mental and very hyper in the way they do things. It's very hysterical. Whereas with this, it's just some people that are quite angry or just a bit worried and like tiptoe around those sort of emotions rather than having any fun and enjoying their lives, if you see what I mean, before they get whacked. Like you would in like a Friday the 13th.
You got a point, because like as many times as they got all these horrible people like having horrible things happen to them, they seem to snap that right out real quick and go, okay, well, let's go see the grandkids.
Yeah.
And I don't think her husband, I don't know if a husband would act like that. If a wife had been through that much stuff, I think they would like give her a little slack. But like, even her kids are like a bunch of snotty assholes about it. Mm-hmm. So, but then also Dee does some stupid shit too, though.
Yeah.
Like, why would you pull the knife out of his neck? He's obviously already dead, and you're obviously going to get blamed for the murder now.
I thought the same thing. I think another misdirection is, I can't think of the guy's name, but at the very beginning when she's at her self-defense class at that gym, and you see that creepy little janitor, and he says he says a quote about, he calls her by her character name in that horror film Dash. And that's another thing too. The killers refer to them as their character names. when he's talking to him on the phone and stuff, or talking to him when he confronts them, he calls them by their names. He calls her Dee Cynthia from Halloween, and calls Haley Dash, and calls Deborah Tina, and calls Lar Tina, and Jennifer Tina, and calls Kane. I don't even know if he calls Kane Jason or not. I know he calls CJ Jason. Just different things. And but yeah, that little creepy part. For a minute there, I thought it was the creepy.
You just sort of brought it up there. The one thing I would change in this movie, if it were up to me, is I wouldn't have the killer talk. Like, it really hurts the movie because it kills any sort of suspense, because it's a silly guy making nonsensical one-liners that, you know, they're neither funny nor threatening enough. And he would be much more sinister if he didn't say anything and you didn't know what his motivation was entirely. You just piece it together a little bit more. That would have been a more interesting way to do it.
Or they could have had a scene where he doesn't talk. He's got his back to the camera, right? There's like, I would have done something like that. We sit at a desk and he's got all these pictures of all these people in the movies, you know, and just then you can surmise at that point that he's obsessed with these movies. But no, it's to go into all this different stuff. But like, I mean, it's like, but you know, it's just like one of those. I think it's one of those movies more like you're watching it and like, oh yeah, I know them. I remember them in part 2. They were in part 4. You know, they were in part 5. You know, and also a thing that I don't agree with though is that guy that was the killer, Kane Hodder, would have beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Dude, this Kane's like what, 6'4" or something?
Something like that. He's a big old tall guy.
He looked like he's like 5 foot nothing, 5'10" or something. Yeah, I don't know about that, but.
What did y'all think about when it showed the scene of Laura in the dungeon, and he had made her that little shrine of all these pictures of her and shit?
Yeah, that was creepy. And you know what's crazy though? I bet all the women in this movie have went through some weirdo. Maybe they didn't try to kill him, but like send them something creepy. Yeah. Or you know, like. And you know what?
One thing that has popped in my head that I did really like was the on-screen device of showing the text messages and the messages from Fanboy. Yeah. That worked really well and conveyed everything you needed to know about Fanboy without him having to talk. So maybe I would have just lent into that a little bit more, because it worked quite well on screen. And it's not an expensive effect to do or anything, and but it was well executed. I was impressed by that.
Yeah. Also, it was kind of bittersweet seeing Lar Park Lincoln in this movie, knowing that she just she passed away not long after this movie was made.
Yeah.
And you know, we reviewed part 7 on Friday Night Frights a few weeks ago. So
yeah,
I really liked her in that movie. Actually, part 7 is probably one of my favorite movies of the franchise. Oddly enough, but you know, I don't know. Kane Hodder is really badass in it. That's why.
Yeah, I love the way Kane looks in part 7. Hit the detail of the costume and everything. I really wish they'd have kept that throughout all the films that he did as Jason. That look, but I mean, you get different productions for different movies, which means Jason gets a different look. It's just, I guess, the way it is.
Yeah, but it was good to see them all in the same movie, like because like DVD each said earlier, for years people have been wanting something like this.
Yeah.
Now it would be cool if they could put it together, like with maybe more people, even with Alice, you know, and the girl from part 2 in it, and you know, but, I mean, you know, maybe one day. I know that this seems to be one of the most Friday the 13th was one of them franchises that's been in a lot of legal battles.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks to the wonderful creators. Yeah. So for me, I love the cast. Like I said, the plot could be like the thought of having a really obsessed stalker coming after you. To me, sounds pretty scary. I wouldn't know because I'm not famous. So, but and I found out about this movie through a friend of mine. I was in his Facebook group, and he said, "Hey, man, Deborah's got her own Facebook group. You should join it." And she's talking about her new movie she's going to do. So I did that. And by joining that group, I became friends with Deborah and Tiffany Helm, who played Violet in Friday the 13th Part 5, and Jennifer Banko, who plays young Tina in Part 7. and it's not like one of these things where I always send a message and stuff, privately or anything. Because me as a fan, I rather prefer to keep my distance. I might be able to reach out and message them whenever I want to, but I don't. I feel like if it's not necessary, I'm abusing the privilege. You know what I'm saying? So, but when I found out that they were doing this movie and they were doing it Indiegogo, I had to jump on that. I mean, hell, a chance to support something, and then I started seeing stuff and I went, oh hell yeah, I'm supporting this. This is pretty cool. But going into that, we'll start with DVH again. What are your thoughts on the gore and the special effects and the kills? You're muted. You're muted, DVH.
Sorry about that. I think when they do it, they're quite good. Like I said, the mop death, that's really effectively done, and there is some special effects in it that work really well. Some of the entrails and stuff like that. It's not really a feature of the movie. We're not talking like, Terrifier or Hatchet, where the whole thing is sort of built around special effects. This is much more sort of, you get a quick blast of it very briefly, and then they go back to talking, basically, is the gist of it, which is, it's not necessarily what I want, but at the end of the day, it wasn't bad. So it does feel like I'm bad mouthing this movie quite a lot, but I'm not. It's just a little bit more. Give me a little bit more of that, like the different effects and stuff like that. Like, especially when they sort of say that they're aping Friday the 13th. You probably should have done some more effects like Friday the 13th, and had the actual kills from the movies, if you've watched A Bay of Blood, most of those kills were brought over to the Friday the 13th. Let's bring them over to Fanboy as well. Let's keep the theme running of silly gags, or having the killer punch a guy's head off on a rooftop. Why not? You could do that. It wouldn't take that much to do those sort of special effects.
All right, Matt, what do you think?
I mean, it did have some cool kills in it. Like the mop thing was cool. I think the one with Tina and Kane Hodder was kind of innovative, although it's kind of left open whether they died or not, I guess. They don't really mention their death later on in the news or anything, really. But I mean, there could have been better ways to do it, I guess. But I think for what they were doing, they were trying to do more practical anyway. And you could tell it's really bad. I've seen some movies. I saw one called Sharkula, and they use CGI blood. I hate when they use CGI blood. That is so lazy. It's so obvious because they can't use the good CGI. They're using obviously something on a Mac or something at home. And so I do like the fact I saw more practical than anything. They didn't they weren't too lazy with that. But of course, Deborah Voorhees is she's an old hand at this. She's been in some slasher films before, so she knows that. And so I think maybe it not just being a fan that did it, probably made it a little bit more production that you would usually get from a movie like this, because it's people that were actors that have worked in front of the camera and behind the camera before. But other than that, there's a lot of blood in it, really. There's a lot of spots, but I think there's too much. In some spots, there may be too much dialogue.
I agree.
Like a movie like a Terrifier. That's what's great about Terrifier. I don't know if DVH brought that up. Is that I've only watched two of them, but I have watched the first one and the third one. But I watched the third one before any of them because Tony was reviewing it before. It was the first one I saw. But so that guy Art the Clown's silent. He doesn't talk, and they really it's less talky, more stabby. You know what I mean? So you got more not that there's no talking in it, but it's the same way with the original Friday 13 movies. There is some talking, but the killer never talks because Jason never talks at all. But anyway, I don't know. I can't imagine what he would sound like if he did talk. Because but I don't know.
It's sort of inherent, really, isn't it? Like, you don't want to be doing a lot of talking if you're going to be killing people. Like, making them aware of your presence is probably not to your benefit if you're a killer.
I know Freddy does it, but Freddy can control dreams, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants. He can just talk shit constantly.
Exactly.
But like, you got the strong silent killer is always my favorite. Even though I love Freddy, don't get me wrong. But like when I watch a Freddy movie, though, I tuned in to see what smart ass shit he was going to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. By part 3, I mean, by part 4 or 3, you're like, yeah, I just want to see what he says to these people. But yeah, but I like there's a decent amount of gore in it, I guess, for a horror film. It's not like over the top, but it gets the job done, I guess, if you want that kind of thing in your movie. And you do, if you're doing a movie where somebody's killing people, you got to gross people out a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with y'all. To me, it didn't seem like there was a lot of gore. There was a lot of blood. So y'all mentioned like the death scenes with the mop handle and the hanging. Those were, I mean, when they talked about in the newscast that they had found Tiffany Helm with her head almost decapitated, I actually probably wouldn't mind seeing that scene. I know that sounds creepy, but we need more. We needed more death scenes, and like for the Wikipedia to say that the killer was using the death scenes from the movies. No, he didn't. But it would have been cool if he did. See, could you imagine if they'd have tried to tie a rock to Kane Hodder and throw him in the lake? I mean,
yeah, that would have been cool. Also, they could have done that. That would have been like a brilliant little gimmick.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
that would have been awesome. I would have loved that.
Or something, maybe.
And I think that's part of the problem with the movie. They give you good ideas and then don't do any of them.
Look, that's a lot of things on the table. They could have done the spear gun scene from part 3.
Yeah.
They could have done the axe to the head for the killer at the end of it. They used a gun instead, which is fine. It's more believable though, because I don't think Judie Aronson would have been able to swing an axe like that, or a machete or whatever it was. But I can't remember now. Or like even like some of the key, like another great one they just left out there and didn't use is the way Kevin Bacon's killed in part 1.
Yeah.
That's an iconic slasher movie kill of all time. When you think of like Friday 13th and the kills, that's the one of them you think about. That, the sleeping bags, and a couple others. But you definitely think about Kevin Bacon getting the arrow through his neck.
Yeah. And I was going to mention, I said tie Kane to a rock and throw him in the lake, but it was actually CJ that did.
Yeah, it was CJ that got, I think, tied up and thrown in the lake.
Yeah.
Although Kane was tied up with at the first of part 7.
That's probably what I was thinking. But yeah,
and they stole the part with Judie and the guy are like asking them questions, or I'll kill you if you don't get them right. Come on, they stole that from Scream.
Yeah, they stole that from Scream. Yeah. I mean, but it was funny. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna borrow something from other movies, you might as well borrow from what you're basing it on. Yeah, but like I said, I love the movie. So we'll start with Matt. It's rating time. What is your overall thoughts and rating? We do like you do on your good and bad cinema, 1 to 5. How would you rate this movie? And would you recommend it?
I would. Well, I'll recommend it with a caveat. I recommend it for anybody that's a fan of Friday 13th films, slasher films from the 80s. It's like a nice little time capsule, seeing all these actors and actresses again in one place. It's like a convention on film, I guess. But I'm gonna give it I'll give it a solid. We'll give it not a bad, but a solid 3. I'll give it a 3.
All right, and everybody in the chat, if you want to rate it 1 to 5, feel free to do so in the chat. DVH, what is your overall ratings of the film, and would you recommend it?
I'm a little bit less generous. I think I would probably give it 2 out of 5. Hoots. And I would say that I would recommend it, but not to fans of slasher movies. I would recommend it to fans of the actors in slasher movies, because it's not a particularly good slasher movie, but it is fun seeing those actors interact with each other like you don't normally see. So from that perspective, if you're the kind of guy that goes to those conventions, for instance, that's it's a movie for you.
For me, it's funny that DVH mentioned if you're the guy that goes to a convention. I got to go to a horror con in 2025 where I got to meet, David Howard Thornton and the cast, the two people from Charmed, and I got to meet Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp and Tyler Main from Halloween. A lot of cool people. And you get that kind of when you're watching the movie when they show the cons, you get that kind of atmosphere. But for me, I guess I'm pun intended going to be a fanboy. I guess I just got into this movie a lot, and I mean, the case in point with these two gentlemen, I kept talking about the movie and I wouldn't shut up, and I finally, I was like, y'all should go watch this movie. But I'm going to be a little bit nice, and I want to give it a 4, but I'm going to give it. I'll leave it at about a 3. There's things that could have been better, but it to me doesn't detract from watching the movie. Like I said, this really kicks you in the nostalgia. If you really grew up watching as a kid, watching the Friday the 13th films, and finally getting to see these people after 40 years, seeing how they're doing and everything, it really hits that nostalgia button pretty cool. Tim said, don't forget Danielle Harris. Yeah, because I got to meet Danielle. Boy, she's really short, but she's pretty cool, man.
She's
pretty cool.
She's a firecracker.
I recommend it to anybody who likes.
Because I still think she's attractive. I would watch Judie Aronson read a phone, but so to be honest with you, although I would rather watch in Part 4, Skinny Dip in the Lake. I don't like the part she gets killed so much, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna make myself big real quick to show off a couple things from 13 Fanboy because I think it's cool, and then I'm gonna try to do the shift thing and fix the layout. But since I've funded the Indiegogo, I still got the sealed DVD. I never watched it because I bought a digital copy. Then I got this nice autograph poster of 13 Fanboy signed by Deborah Voorhees. And then I got an autograph picture of Haley Greenbauer. That's what I got. And I got my name in the credits. I'm going to show that real quick because, if you actually roll through all the credits, you will see my name somewhere right around in the middle somewhere of my name in the credits. So I thought that was cool. I actually didn't find out about the credits thing until later.
Actually, that's the Steve's at, and you're like, oh, I didn't put a lot of money, but you still helped produce the movie.
Yeah, but I could actually
dollar counts towards the movie. They're trying to get this made, so
I can actually say my name is in the credits of a horror film.
It's kind of amazing though these days because now fans can help put out products that they can help get something created about the world. Like it's what's great about Kickstarter too.
And that was the whole point. I watched the interview with Deborah was talking about doing the crowdfunding Indiegogo thing. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't talk about the money it made and anything, because it did get a very, very limited theatrical release. It was halted by COVID. It only made like $13,000 in the movies because theaters because it got a very limited amount, and the budget was like about $100,000. But like I said, it's a great movie to watch. If you're fans of the film, check it out. Like I said, if you just want some good nostalgia bait, it works on that. But I can't really talk too much more about it. Guys, I guess at this point, we will take a minute, go around the horn. And DVH, what you got coming up, man?
I'm on a little bit of a hiatus at the moment with the channel, generally speaking. However, I hope to be back here for more horror movie talking. I like it. Next Friday, if you'll have me on, I'll be back, and I'll try and keep it regular because if there's one thing I watch, it's bad horror movies, so I can definitely talk about it. Also, I have many suggestions, many suggestions of bad horror movies that we could watch. That would be good fun chats to complain about. I'm also on Only Slabs at some point in March, early March. I want to say it's the 7th. Not quite sure. Keep an eye out for me. I'll be on Only Slabs in March.
Cool.
Cheers, mate.
Matt, what you got coming up? Matter of fact, you got something coming up in about 8 minutes.
Yeah, I got 8 minutes. I got a boot scoot out of here. We'll be on One Collection Downs channel, and we're going to be part of Sci-Fi Fest. Him and probably from Pop Culture Philosophers, we're doing this thing called Sci-Fi Fest, and they're obviously reviewing sci-fi movies. So I'm going to be on there tonight reviewing Starship Troopers from 1997. By one of my favorite directors, really. I mean, I don't think it's enough credit. I really like the guy. He did director RoboCop and Hollow Man. Hollow Man's an underrated movie, by the way, I think. But anyway, I mean, it's not an Oscar winner. I don't really care about that shit.
Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah, Paul Verhoeven. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm afraid. Always afraid to pronounce his name. DVH. That's why I just say the director. But that's why I got you here. But then I got the Sunday Super Show where new Comic Day previews coming up. And then Tuesday, Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophy. No, Wednesday. Oh no, okay. Tuesday, I'm going to have to do Good Bad Cinema on Tuesday, and because I had to switch it out. So because I want to do well, anyway, for Good Bad Cinema on Tuesday, it'll be Tuesday this week. But it's usually going to be on Wednesday. I know this makes no sense. But it's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. I'll get it out. Good Bad Cinema. We're going to be reviewing The Warriors, and we'll decide, is this good or bad cinema? And we'll also ask, is this the best film ever made about street gangs? I don't know. You can tell me. Probably not. But I like to do that just to get people to watch it so they can get mad and go, absolutely not. Gangs of New York is the best movie about street gangs. But or whatever movie. But anyway, so we're going to watch that. And then Wednesday, Pop Culture Philosophers. His name's Robbie Phillips. He'll be my guest on Comic Conversations. It'll be on Wednesday this week because he was only free on Wednesday. So, and then we got the Comic Lounge, So, and also I have some videos coming out. We'll have a review of G.I. Joe issue number 9 from 1983, Marvel Comics. And I think the issue is called The Diplomat. And the cover has Scarlet hanging out of a helicopter. And she's in a lot of peril, but I'm pretty sure our girl Scarlet can get out of it. And we'll also, the week after, there'll be a video dropping. We're going to do a 3-part series reviewing Uncanny X-Men 171, 172, and 173, which is a big story arc for Wolverine and Rogue. Because Rogue joins the X-Men, Wolverine goes to get married, X-Men get kidnapped. He don't trust Rogue. Well, we won't get into all that, but he finally ends up trusting her, and they become pretty good friends. But me and John's Comics and Friends are going to be reviewing that, and maybe Big Jeff. And if anybody else wants to be involved in it, let me know. We're going to be doing a lot more reviews. So I'm a little bit long-winded, so I apologize.
Well, for me, I got a lot of big stuff coming up. This starting Monday, I start my QA job at Nestle, so my hours are going to be like, instead of getting up at 5 a.m., I got to be at work at 5 a.m. and I work till 1. Now with that I'm probably missed a few Matt's shows on Tuesday and Wednesday this week until I get trained and go to second. But this next Friday, since
I'd probably just sleep in my car if I had to get up that early.
Coming up this Friday, just in time for Valentine's Day, Friday Night Frights presents My Bloody Valentine, the original classic. And like I said, DVH can come on and talk anytime he wants. It's going to be going forward. This will be the new time for Friday Night Frights, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. I was going to do a live show Saturday night, but I'm going to be working a 12-hour shift. I'm probably not going to do. May just do a backstage and hang out and talk to everybody. But hanging out with Grandpa Starscream will return on Valentine's Day for another fun-filled episode. And I've got 2 more Friday Night Frights through the pipeline. In 2 weeks, we'll do. All right, brother, take it easy. In 2 weeks, we're going to do John Carpenter's Vampires, and in 3 weeks, we're going to do Hellraiser. But that is just, I've got a lot of stuff coming up. We're going to be moving, so everything is to be determined. But next week we will be doing My Bloody Valentine. So that's it. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank DVH for hanging out and Matt hanging out on the panels. We talked about 13 Fanboy. I want to thank everybody for hanging out in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for supporting the channel. DVH has pretty much relinquished the reins to me, so going forward, Friday Night Frights will only be on the Comiverse YouTube channel, but he will still be my co-host, and I'll even consider DVH a co-host. I mean, you can't have too many hosts. You know, that is what it is. And I really do need to change the ending because the ending outro, because we're going to leave you with the turtles. But I want to tell everyone, have a safe and blessed night, and may all your nightmares come true. We'll see you next time.
Well, dudes, I'd say that's pretty much a wrap. Yep. Cowabunga?
Cowabunga?
Yeah. Cowabunga!